Alright guys, before we get started, I have to say that this video is made possible by EA Game Changers because some of the assets that you see as far as the screenshots in this video were provided directly by EA Game Changers, so shout outs to them. So let's go ahead and get started guys. Of course, you may or may not know EA did release the deep dive today for the franchise, all of the franchise upgrades, etc. And what I'm going to do is I'll probably do a good number of these videos. I don't know how many yet. Can't really confirm the schedule and when I will be releasing them. Maybe all today, maybe a few tomorrow, I don't know. But I will basically break this up in separate parts because there's a lot to talk about. Try not to keep you too long, but just try to focus in on certain things that I want to bring to your attention or things that are important to me. Now, today we're going to talk about Player Archetype Progression. And before we do that, man, let me just say this up front. You guys heard me say a while back that I needed to see some progression in Madden 19 in terms of franchise. We all know how we feel about franchise. We all know there's millions of things that we want added in franchise. And I will say this, if you look at the blog, I know there are going to be people that feel like, well, this is not done and this wasn't done. Well, they should have did this. They should have did that. I understand that. There's a huge list of things and wants that we all want. If you go back and look at the video I made a few months ago about my top 5 priorities for franchise, what I wanted to see in Madden 19. If you go back and look at the fabulous, detailed blog or post by Deuce Douglas, you clearly can tell there's numerous things that we would like to see in franchise. But me also understanding, man, being on the other side of the curtain, I definitely understand the politics that goes on. Things are presented and things sometimes are often not approved for the current year. And that's just how it goes. That's just business. Nothing I can say I'm happy about, but that's just how it goes. But what I am happy about is I am happy at the fact that I'm seeing things that are being done in Madden 19 in franchise that does give me hope. It does give me hope that franchise mode has not been forgotten about. And it definitely gives me hope that there's things to build on for the future. Again, if you look at the blog in totality, it doesn't look like a huge amount of features, but though it looks little, the little things that have been done are huge for the future of franchise. All right, so let's go ahead and start off here with the player archetype progression. By now, you guys know that there are player archetypes in Madden, in franchise, and this is very, very important to me because you guys know for the numerous years you've heard me talk about I want to see more separation with players. I want to see, guys be able to be specialists in certain areas, or I want to see, player differentiation, on the field and just their abilities, what they can do. We all reflect back to All Pro Football 2K8's ability system. A lot of us still relish over what they did there, and we also compare that to Madden 08 with the weapons. So you've heard myself and others always say we need to get back to that where there's more traits, more badges, say like 2K has, or even like Mutt has, more of these type of things to separate players. Now, to me, this looks like a step in the right direction. It's not fully fleshed out to where I would love for it to be, but it's a step. If you look here at even with the quarterback, you have, basically 4 different areas, and each position will have 2 to 4 different styles. With the quarterbacks, you have your field general, your scrambler, your strong arm, and your West Coast. If you look at the post, you'll see yourself. It does list each archetype for each position. Like running backs, you have your power back, your elusive back, your receiving back, cornerback. Cornerback is one of the main ones I want to talk about because you now have your man-to-man, your zone coverage, and your slot. You have heard me say numerous times, guys, that I want to be able to build a slot corner. You can now do that. All right. Now, as far as how the ratings and all of that plays out, we'll have to wait and see, what dictates what. But it's good to know that I could have a specialist now, along with, the depth chart positions, which we'll talk about that in another video. But now I can have a specialist. I can build a slot corner. I could build a Mike Hilton, even though, of course, I'm being biased with the Steelers, but you can literally build this guy to play this position. Because the way it's basically going to work, man, you're going to have some skill points and such. And with the skill points, basically what they do, it allows you to increase the overalls for each different archetype or Yeah, I guess you would say each different archetype, because let's just say if you have a cornerback and I want to build his slot, I'll get these skill points and I can apply the skill points to the slot corner attribute or archetype, and all of the ratings that affect that archetype will be able to get a boost. So I'll read to you here what it says in the paragraph. I might just read the whole thing, but it basically says earn skill points by acquiring enough XP for a player to level up. XP is earned during gameplay, training, awards, and more. Once you've earned a skill point, spend it on one of the player archetypes to upgrade the overall for that archetype by a full point. So like it says here, at the end of each game, you are presented with all of the players that have skill points and are ready to upgrade. So let's say you want to upgrade Matt Ryan's West Coast overall. It's currently an 88 overall. So spending one skill point will increase his individual player rating, which will elevate his West Coast to an 89. So again, things that you're going to see, because I did see this when I play tested it back in May. After the game, again, let's say Mike Hilton might have 2 skill points, right? And I want to apply it to his slot attribute. What's going to happen is when I apply that skill point, each rating that affects his slot will increase. And then you will start to see, the overall for that particular area increase. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the player's overall, like his total overall, will be based on which attribute or which player archetype is his highest. So let's just say a running back, he has 80 power, 88 elusive, 83. What was the other one? What was the other archetype? I got to look at it again here. Give me a second. Receiving. So say he has 80 power, 88 elusive, and 82 receiving. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that he will show as an 88, but it will be only because that particular archetype is his highest. So that's his strong suit. I think that's how it worked. I believe that's how it worked when I was able to see it, but don't hold me to that. But I believe that's how it was. So anyway, man, just to get back to the point, I think this is huge. This is a huge change. Whether you feel like it's enough or not, it's huge, because this is laying the groundwork to allow more player likeness or more player types going forward. You have to look at what's been implemented. If you remember what I mentioned in my last video, what Clint Oldenburg said about the RPM tech, how it not only allows, to showcase how players move on the field, but it also introduces player likeness and player ability. Player likeness and player like signature style and mannerism. This just makes me look forward and saying, oh, okay, so if you start building out more traits, start adding more of these like badge type things that you see in 2K, or the chemistries or whatever you want to call them that you see in MUT, start adding more of these in franchise along with the technology that can add more mannerism. The future is bright. The future is very bright if you look at it from that standpoint. Let me see if there's anything else, guys, I wanted to talk about in regards to this particular system here. One last thing I will read here. It says the decisions you make with this progression system are powerful. Instead of just going up one rating at a time, your players progress a full overall each upgrade. It's a dynamic system that ensures players progress in unique ways while still giving you control over the player's total progression path. So like you may see in one of the screenshots here, they're looking at Stefon Diggs. As you can see, he has a deep threat upgrade, and it basically affected, looks like his ability, catching traffic, deep route, 1 for jumping and 1 for release. So that's giving you a perfect example right there. If you look at the Stefon Diggs screenshot, it shows him as a 93 overall, but that is his 93 overall for that particular archetype. Because remember, with wide receivers, as you'll see in the blog, it says the different archetypes are deep threat, deep threat, possession, red zone threat, and slot receiver. So it shows Stefon Diggs would be right now a 93 overall in that particular category, but it doesn't mean that he's a 93 overall as a slot. Doesn't mean that he's a 93 overall as a red zone threat. He might not even have those archetypes. So again, man, this is really going to allow a lot of different potential here, man, because you could have a receiver that you get in the draft that he's only a deep threat, build that out, make him a beast there, and you're using him for that situation. Whereas you might find another receiver, you would assume a guy like Antonio Brown or Julio Jones, they might have all 4 archetypes. You see what I'm saying? So all in all, man, I just wanted to comment and say that having these player archetypes and having these different ways to progress the specific archetype, in my opinion, is a great step in getting what we really want. You know, players being able to showcase their abilities, being able to shine, being able to create special players, being able to create, you know, guys that you use in, you know, specific situations. You think about, again, being biased, you think about what Mike Wallace was to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or you think about what Martavis Bryant was when he was healthy to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can now create that type of guy. So he doesn't necessarily have to be a beast everywhere else, but you can build him as a specialist and use him in key situations. So good to see this type of stuff being put into the game. Good groundwork. You know, be curious to see how everything progresses going forward. And that'll do it for this particular video, guys. But, you know, just stay tuned, because I'm going to come back and break down some of the other areas and some of the other things here that is shown in the blog. And we'll do it like that. All right. So that will do it for this one, guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications so you know when the next videos are available. And I promise, guys, it'll never hurt you to hit that like button. All right. Until next time, let me know what you think. Peace.